Hey everyone, I'm Jen. I am really excited to share with you a new training that Stacey and I have developed called Healing Generational Trauma. So, Healing Generational Trauma is a two-part CEU training where we will take a deep dive into what makes trauma generational. How does the trauma that my grandmother suffered then trickle down to affect my mother, which then trickles down to affect me? So when we're working with a client who's struggling with the effects of trauma, oftentimes if we go back in their backstory, we learn that it didn't just start with them. So in this two-part training, part one is going to cover how trauma becomes generational. How does systemic trauma affect the individual? How the coping skills that an individual learns to use cause self-abandonment, which furthers their experience of trauma. And how can we use some experiential techniques, we call them experiential walkouts, to support our client in reconnecting with their bodies and starting to heal from their trauma experiences. So like I said, the first part, we're going to take a deep dive into the what and the how, in terms of what it is and how we can use tools like a genogram to support our client in kind of seeing the big picture and getting a better understanding of their trauma story. The part two, we're going to spend more time on the how. So we're going to do a short review of the what is generational trauma. And we're going to spend even more time on some of the walkouts that are going to look like, how do I support my client in inner child work? How do I support my client in co-regulation? How do I use attunement to support my client in being in their body and staying in their body? How can I use tools such as reparenting to support my client in healing and repairing some of that trauma? We're also going to address how countertransference shows up for you as the clinician in a session with an individual who's struggling with healing trauma. A lot of times our own backstories get triggered when working with trauma, or people who are struggling to heal their own trauma, because even if we've done all the healing and all the therapy in the world, there's still stuff for us to work on. So we'll cover what it feels like and looks like when countertransference shows up in a session, and what can we do to work with it to support our client, and when do we need to seek supervision around the countertransference that's showing up for us. So if this sounds interesting for you, please reach out and register for the training. And if you have any questions, absolutely please reach out, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you more about our healing generational trauma. Thank you.